Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast coming at you on this Thursday morning with myself, Gary Stryker, and the slightly tired and fatigued editorially Qooligan. Good morning, Qooligan.
A lot happening.
A lot happening. Yes, indeed. I think
I'm still exhausted from all the celebrations after all that insanity at Champions League. That was nuts.
What was interesting about that is I watched the Galazzo show. Let me rephrase that. I watched the first half of the Galazzo show. I had to leave to go and take care of and be a parent. But then do you know what I did is I came back in the evening, put the kids down, and then hit the Galazzo show replay again and watched the whole 2 hours again. And I had my 8-year-old with me, and we were just sitting there and we're just like cutting from game to game. Superstars, Mbappe scores, and then Chelsea score, and then there's a goal, and then Liverpool score, and then cutting to Bayern score, and Harry Kane scores. And it was like, wow, it was such a great production to have all of those games at the same time, and then that sort of Galazzo show cut in. Honestly, it was really, really entertaining. And I do wonder, it's a shame that it only happens for one game week on the final game week. And I do wonder, are they going to start testing it and maybe start aligning all the games in one? I doubt, because commercially it doesn't make huge amounts of financial sense.
It doesn't make any sense commercially to do it that way now.
But what a product.
And I got to, I know how much I know your opinions about Nico Cantor aside. How difficult is it as a presenter to have to cut and jump and then comment on all of the things that you're seeing? That's actually very challenging. And I think it speaks to, one, his familiarity with the game. I mean, he really does have an extraordinarily deep knowledge of the game. Your opinions about his pronunciation aside. And I mean, for all of them, truly, think about that. 61 goals over a 90-minute stretch, maybe 100 minutes if you're going into all the extra time stuff. They literally are cutting every minute 25 seconds to a new goal. And there were some that they didn't cover, right? Admittedly, not every goal got featured, but they really did their best. I'd say that they only omitted a handful.
Yeah, the production value was so good. And I agree, as much as I find Nico Cantor quite annoying, yeah, I do have to give props and respect, because the research was incredible. Even Michael Richards at the end of the show was like, props to you, because he was great. What was interesting is you could see the dynamic with the three superstars of Henry, Carragher, and Richards. They're used to watching the games and not being filmed and recorded. And there was a moment where they were watching, and like Carragher shouts goal, and he's like, whoops. And you could see, because they have to stay quiet. And obviously there's some production stuff going on in the background, but you could see Carragher was getting a little frustrated as well with Nico Cantor. He was a little bit frustrating, but I have to say, he really was able to cut and then give you really relevant and interesting statistics and facts. And this is the first time he scored in Haaland scored in the first time in 5 games. And all of this stuff, it was great. Yeah.
Whoever his research team is, and maybe it's just him, but I doubt it, but whoever's doing his research or feeding the information in, because that's the thing that you don't see, is you've got these 5 people sitting in the chairs, but behind them, off camera, there is literally probably a dozen people with laptops,
just
all going in and thinking all the various angles. What can I possibly have for this? All the players for every team, they've got to have a factoid. So they're going in, they're doing all this. It's an insane amount of research.
It is an insane amount
I have
of
to
research.
do this type of stuff to write an article. But to do it then, to try and have it ready for real time, it's hours.
And then have it ready and be able to pull it up and not wait a second. Hold on, let me go and find that page and sort of cover it. Yeah.
Well, because they've all got screens, so they're popping that stuff in, or they have a big cheat sheet that they give them at the beginning, and they just scratch out the ones that they use. Right? That's what I would do, but I'm an old school. So
speaking of cheat sheets, another way to sort of give you another insight into this, you'll be familiar with Clive Tilsley. He's one of the sort of the commentators as well. He's done the Champions League, and also he started commentating for NBC as well on Peacock.
Probably recognize the voice.
Well. You'll recognize the voice, but the name. He's been around for ages. But there was a period where he started selling the notes for the big games that he's covered. So for example, like he covered one of the Champions League finals, and what he does is he sort of like set up his own little side merch does the handwritten notes of every game. And again, as you say, crib sheet, he has a crib sheet of all the players,
of
all
course
the stats, and then little things, and just like the research and the detail. That's just for one game that he's commentating on. It really is an incredible skill, I have to say, and sort of looking at it. So.
It's funny, it reminds me of how I met Sarah Ash, who now is part of the women, the Wozo show, on our podcast network. I actually met her because she was doing live commentary on a game in Pleasant Hill, California that I happened to be watching. I just walked up, saw it happening and watched, and then was listening to her do the live commentary. And that's how we actually met, because she did the exact same thing. She had a whole sheet, and admittedly, this was for a WSL. For a USLW game. And let me tell you how hard it is to do research on these players. I mean, there's nothing on many of these players. So for her to have gone through and that's at every level, ladies and gentlemen. There are devotees of the sport who love the game so much that they find ways to give this sort of enrichment. And so let's just give them some props in return.
It's not always the big leagues. Even dinky bedroom podcasters like us as well here as well, right? Even for us, like as well.
Even the Flaming Pinto has its fan base. What can I say?
So just quickly, some of the stand-up moments for that sort of Champions League game week. I mean, it's got to obviously be that final last gasp
Truman.
header
There's nothing
from Truman.
else.
Wow, Ukrainian goalkeeper. I've really liked him. I remember in the Club World Cup, he was really impressive.
You mentioned him multiple times in the Club World Cup.
I did like him.
And as someone to keep an eye on. And lo and behold, you were right. What you weren't expecting was that he was going to do it with his head and not his hands.
I thought he's a great goalkeeper. He really is.
He made 7 saves in that game too, right? That's the thing that everybody's forgetting. Not only did he convert the header in deep into stoppage time to win the game, last touch of the game, and he won it.
Yeah.
He made 7 saves to keep them in the game.
It was amazing. Jose Mourinho doing Jose things as well? The dark Lord is working.
I don't think Mourinho had. I gotta be honest with you. The amount of times that they cut to Mourinho was blissfully one that I noticed, and that was when he was collapsed in a heap somewhere because I think they had just scored or something, and it wasn't about him, and I think that's. In my opinion, that's what made that game so awesome. The same way that the Atletico Madrid game was not about Simeone. It was about the upstart Bodo Glimt team.
With another win,
all right?
Not getting inside and qualifying. No
cutaways.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
To come from no wins in 6 games.
Yeah.
They went 6 games without a win. 3 draws, mind you. 2 of them heartbreaking draws, like where they conceded at the last minute. To go from that to win your last 2 games against Manchester City and Atletico Madrid, both of whom, by the way, have stadiums that are so large they can fit the entire population of Bodo Glimt, and that's the widespread municipality.
Yeah,
all right, not just the city. I mean, that's the whole area can fit in there with an additional 10 to 12,000 to spare.
Yeah. It was.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. No,
you talk about
really
underdogs,
impressive.
you talk about minnows, and the other one that I want to mention is Paphos. I mean, let's give a shout out to Paphos, who came 1 goal away from knocking out Benfica. If they had scored 1 more goal, they would have knocked Benfica out.
They would have done it, yeah. Or if Benfica didn't score that goal, they knocked them out. Yeah, it was. But what a game week! What a production! Really,
absolutely absurd.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And for all of these little upstarts that managed to punch above their weight, you had some big names that just collapsed, which is a story into itself. I mean, Anyway, this is not a Champions League podcast, ladies and gentlemen, although it does really sound like one.
Well, we just
we are going to cover the Premier League as well.
This game week coming up, yeah. But
wow.
I think we can say it's. I'm just looking at the brackets. I'm still not quite following how they're going to break out and how they're going to work, because obviously it depends on sort of who gets through the round of 32. But yeah, what I would say that this new format that was better than last year, and last year was good. We really liked it as well. I really liked it.
It was better.
Incredible.
It was better than last year, which didn't suck.
Yeah.
And this year, but this year I think it will be very difficult next year to try and have a final day that's going to be as dramatic as this one.
I think they'll keep on. This is suddenly a new feature of the Champions League, and it's going to be wonderful.
Well, they're going to keep the same format. I just don't think can the universe handle that much excitement? I don't think so.
I think it can. I think it can, Qooligan. And
really,
I think, yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll have to come back to it next year as well. But yeah, no, really engage. Wow, incredible. Just product experience, watching all the goals, the games, and just the drama unfold. It was fantastic. It really was. Okay, so as you mentioned, yeah, we are going to be covering match week 24 in this Premier League as we march on as the games come thick and fast. So let's get into this week's matches. So what was interesting is just looking at the top down and just sort of looking chronologically at some of the games we're going to go. Arsenal, top of the league, they had the opportunity to potentially go 11 points clear.
Right.
If they won and Man City lost, which we thought could be possible because Man City do look a little bit frail at the back. That didn't happen last game week. Man City won. Arsenal actually lost to Man United, which suddenly all of a sudden bounced and sort of resuscitated, and Michael Carrick looking very, very prominent. But you've got Arsenal against Leeds, who are now 4 points ahead of Man City. I do just want to sort of say this. It does feel like, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but just looking at some of the last games that Arsenal have played, and I'm thinking that Carabao Cup semi-final against Chelsea, where they conceded 2, they've had an incredible defense all season. Against Manchester United, conceded 3 goals. Yeah, against Kairat yesterday, conceded 2 goals, admittedly with the kids, so there are caveats. I'm not saying wobble, I'm just saying...
Oh, you had to go and say the word.
The W word. This will be... But the thing is, Arsenal is still on for 4 trophies and probably favourites for every single one of those trophies, right? If they're definitely up there with it. So... I don't think this is going to be a slam dunk game as well. There are just little cracks creeping in. And again, that's kind of the way I see it. I don't know if you're going to take the other side of that or agree with that, Qooligan. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I mean,
this is not a slam dunk.
I do have opinions on this. Surprise, surprise. I don't think you can use the word wobble against Arsenal. I think what you're seeing is a team that just is showing the fact that it's human and gets tired and things happen.
In full competitions.
This is not indicative. This is not a slide. This is not like Liverpool sliding in those 4 games. This is not anything even close to that. And for the fan, this is great, right? For the neutral, this is awesome because it means that you actually have something to watch for and that there is a real fight for the title. I don't think it's going to be much of a fair fight. I still think Arsenal, it's theirs to lose, okay? But in this particular match week, I have to say, and it just goes against a lot that I stand for, is I'm actually rooting for Arsenal on this. If only because Leeds' defeat means that Crystal Palace will be secure 1 place above the drop zone. So that's where I stand on this. I also think they're going to do it. I mean, as good as Leeds are, as good as they have been, and they're a scrappy team and they're tough to play, right? I don't think that they're going to be able to take down. I don't think they're going to be able to take down the Gunners, even when they're at home, right? Because they are playing at Ellen Road. So, and I think that gives them a slight edge. But yeah. By the way, I would accept a draw as well, Leeds. So a draw is also acceptable.
But what is interesting, if there was a draw and then Man City, who are playing Spurs, again, not probably the easiest of games, but, actually Spurs, to be honest, to 14th in the league as well. You could maybe argue.
Wait a minute. Which competition, version of Spurs are we talking about? Champions League Spurs or Premier League Spurs? Because Premier League Spurs, you can just swat away with the wave of a hand, but Champions League Spurs is much more challenging.
White Hart Lane Premier League Spurs, which is the worst version of Spurs, given that they have the worst home record in the league.
Yeah, they're really
the second
not very
worst
strong
home record, only beaten by only sort of a little bit better than Wolves. So that's not there. But there is a world where, as you say, let's just assume a draw and then City go and win. All of a sudden, they cut that lead down to 2 points. And all of a sudden, the title race is back on, right? But
it's true. Yeah, you're right.
It does feel like, again, if
You're right.
here's the other interesting question that I have is, and look, clearly the tailwinds are with Arsenal and with Mikel Arteta. I know
Yeah.
sort of the trolls online have been saying how if Arteta doesn't win a trophy this season, then that's it. You know, he sort of had his time. If they do come out of this season empty-handed and do throw away the league, which I agree, it is theirs to throw away because they are looking so good, so dominant based on that defense and that attacking line that they've got. They spent so much money on players. Their squad is so stacked with real talent. Like Eze's not even starting these days, right?
Yeah,
Madueke, Kai Havertz has just come back from injury as well. Scored a great goal yesterday. There is it. I do wonder if they look at Arteta and say maybe he's not the guy to get them over the line, and do we go and get sort of another sort of manager? That would be.
I think that's a conversation for another pod. It's a bit early for us to be speculating on that, but certainly, I think you're within your rights to bring up the question.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Here we are. We're talking about Arsenal. We're talking about City, and you haven't even mentioned the quiet assassin in the room, which is, of course, Aston Villa, who are sitting level on points with City. Right? They're both at 46. I mean, it could be a universe. I mean, what kind of weird universe would it be if Arsenal lose, Man City lose, and Aston Villa win? I don't know. It's a very dark parallel universe. But hey, it could happen.
Villa sneak up and win the league. Imagine that coming out of nowhere. I mean, you're right. They're in there. They could happen. Crazier things have happened as well.
They are in the mix 100%. And I think the best thing for them is precisely everybody's focus being on City and Arsenal, and allows them to just do their thing, behind the scenes or whatever they want to do.
Indeed.
By the way, I'm also rooting for City on this game against Spurs. One, I always pretty much root against Spurs for everything. But two, if they do that, it means that Tottenham will remain at 28 points, and it gives Crystal Palace again a chance at 28 points to jump above them. So, yes.
Okay. All right.
I think people are beginning to recognize where all of my predictions are going to go.
It's basically, how does this impact Palace's ability to survive?
Impact my team. Gee, what a surprise!
Shocker. Okay, well, speaking of other teams, then we're going to go to another London team, London derby going on. We've got Chelsea against West Ham. I don't want to get
no love lost there.
Well, I don't want to get too excited here, but that turnaround from Chelsea yesterday against Napoli, it looked as once they went 2-1 down, you're like, oh God, here we go again. This is kind of that sort of like Maresca malaise that was happening. And all of a sudden, João Pedro with two really, really impressive goals.
Brazilian dagger. I mean, there.
That
two
Brazilian
thrusts,
number 9.
over.
Yeah, bang. Yeah. Wow. That left foot as well in the corner, that rocket in the corner was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And it does seem as though quietly, again, very early to say, I think this is now 5 or 6 games now in for Liam Rossinier as well, but he does, there is kind of like, I'm beginning to allow myself to dream just a little bit here as well. All of a sudden, João Pedro is looking good, looking potent, looking direct, moving. Esteval starting and playing as well. Cole Palmer's beginning to come back. Chelsea are, again, also in 4 competitions as well. I'm not saying they're sort of we're going to be competing at the level of Arsenal quite there, but they do look, again, Rossinier does seem to have sort of imposed his ideas and are coming across, and there is a calmness to him and also a calmness to Chelsea. There didn't seem to be any panic going on there. Their defense is woefully weak and it needs fixing, but I will pause there.
Well, this is the point of the podcast where I need to remind you that they're not the only team that had a turnaround. I mean, let's talk about West Ham's turnaround. From a side that was, they're 3 games on the spin. Thank you. They've got 3 wins. They have 3 wins under their belt.
Did they win a cup competition as well? Because I'm looking at their form guide now.
Queen's Park, right? They beat QPR.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Another London rival. So they beat QPR in, I can't even remember which cup tie this was. I think this was an FA Cup. Yeah. This was FA Cup third round. Okay. So they've got 3 wins now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily root for Chelsea often, but as it impacts my team, we're going to go back to this theme. As it impacts my team, a win by Chelsea would be a good thing because it would keep West Ham in the relegation zone, right? And they're in the relegation zone no matter what happens. Okay, they're 20 points. They're deep in. They've got a long climb to go. But I don't think that, I mean, notwithstanding everything that you said about Chelsea and their resilience against Napoli, which was fine. West Ham will not be a pushover. I think that they would have been a few weeks ago. This is a team that has they've rediscovered some of their roots. They've suddenly remembered we're West Ham. We're the Hammers. We're iron, right? Hey, there's a steeliness now in them.
It should be.
That could give Chelsea some fits.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and this is not to say that the new manager Rosinier has done a great job, but he's got to lose sometime. It's going to happen. Yep. Does it happen in this game? We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I think Chelsea's form, and there is just a sense there as well. So you're going to have two teams now who have just suddenly
I personally, this is a great
form.
game. I love the excitement of this game, and it's going to be a good one to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's move on there as well. And then the final game on Saturday, that is, for me, this is the one that stands out as the most exciting and interesting game. There is history here as well. This game has always produced great goals with last-minute winners. Liverpool against Newcastle going to Anfield as well. You've got Liverpool who, look at that, in the Premier League alone, in their last 5 games, they've drawn 4 and lost 1. And so, again, that game yesterday against, it was Kairat they played yesterday. I think it was, right, Kairat Almaty. It was a, absolute steamroll. It was a non-competition.
No, they played Karabakh.
Is it Karabakh? Sorry, forgive me. You're right. Yes, Karabakh.
Kairat played Arsenal and scored 2 against them.
And scored 2 as well.
Which was embarrassing for Arsenal. I don't care how young your team was.
Even if they did play the kids,
you literally doubled the amount of goals that you conceded in the first 7 games in your final game against the team that was dead last.
That is true.
And traveled 8,500 miles to be there. Probably in regular class.
Yeah. So Liverpool against Karabakh, against Karabakh. So that was kind of a bit of a non-competition.
They just annihilated them.
It was too easy, right? And then
it was an annihilation.
Again, but Liverpool, you could argue as well, kind of doing the same thing as Spurs a little bit as well, maybe to not the same extent. As in the Champions League, they look pretty dominant, finishing 3rd, lost 2 games throughout of it as well, looking good. Yeah. In the league, again, like in 6th, they've just, lately there's just been that wobble. I know the vultures are circling about Arne Slot and will he survive? I know Alonso's available and all this kind of stuff. We just released, obviously, a really good article as well about the future of Liverpool.
There's the big drama about Mo Salah as well.
About salaries probably going to be moved on. And if you think about it, Liverpool were probably quite smart to give him a 2-year contract because they can still sell him on at the end of that one season and get some cash for him. I know they had a $130 million bid originally from the Middle East that they turned down. They probably, didn't go and get 50, 80 million from him, and that's not bad business, right? And it frees up his salary as well.
And I think I would argue that, Salah gave them the equivalent of that value. That rejecting that bid at that time made sense, and Salah's performance up until this season certainly justified them keeping him.
Yeah.
This season's a different story for whatever reasons, right? And there's still a lot of season left. Salah could have a late resurgence, because really what he's looking at is he wants to get those double digits, right? He's had double-digit goals every year since joining Liverpool. He's had double-digit assists every year except one, right? The COVID year, he only got 6 for Liverpool. If he can get double digits again, that's just an insane, it's an insane amount of productivity.
Yeah.
And it would make him, I think, just as valuable. Also, there's there's his, he is Muslim. And going to Saudi Arabia would be just a huge boost to, for that league. So there's still a lot to be said and still a lot of value left in Mo Salah. The question is where and when is Liverpool going to exploit it?
Well, it does seem that they are sort of offsetting that sort of, that he will move on by the looks of it probably at the end of the season. What is interesting?
It would make sense. It would make sense. And it would make good business sense too.
It would be good business sense. And I think the Liverpool fans would not be angry or upset as if he was to move on. It's probably like you've achieved everything here. It's thank you very much and we wish you the best.
Correct. But if you try to sell Salah in 2023, you're going to have a major fan revolt on your hands.
That's interesting. It's different.
But I don't think you're going to have a major fan revolt on your hands in 2026, particularly if you can get 60, 70 million for him. I'd say they'd be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Not to mention he does have the highest wage bill on the team as well, is my understanding. So that's a massive amount of wages to cover.
to free up as well, right? And then the other thing as well is Florian Wirtz seems to have started to sort of pick up and starting to sort of like get settled a little bit. Ekitike has been absolutely fantastic all season.
And think about who they're reportedly targeting, right? Michael Olise, who is an absolute. I mean, him right now.
Oof.
He's better than Salah. I hate to say it.
Yeah, on form
right now he's better than Salah.
I agree with that.
So, and he's got so much more upside because he's only 24.
Yeah, that's it.
And just turned 24 last month. So I'm like, hello.
And Bayern aren't short of players in that position, especially with Musiala coming back as well. And they've got a bunch of young kids
coming back. Yeah. You've got Carl. I mean, the one thing that Bayern would be hesitant on is Olise works really well with Kane, right? So you're taking away a big feeder of your goal machine up front. But I think Bayern is skilled enough to be and deep enough to be able to replace him. Not to mention the fact that they make a chunk of euros. Hello, big ka-ching.
That could be a big payday. Yeah. So with this one, I mean, this one's going to be a hard one to call because I think Newcastle, although they're sitting in ninth, their form has not been great. Liverpool's form, they need a win.
Both teams' Premier League form is not good.
Yeah, they need that win. They really do need that win. So this is going to be a really fun game to watch, and definitely will.
I like it. I think it's brilliant. Let's just. I mean, I'm going fingers crossed. Right. I would like Liverpool to win.
Yeah.
My son is much easier to deal with when Liverpool wins. So
Qooligan Jr. as well will be in a happier space. Is that what it is? And the good thing is, well, it doesn't impact the outcome of Crystal Palace's position in the league on this game. So you don't really have any skin in the game, right?
Bingo.
Wonderful. Okay, let's move on to Sunday's games. The big one that jumps out at me is, I mean, talk about bounce, turnaround, suddenly wind in sails, Manchester United hosting Fulham. I mean, all of a sudden, Man U in fourth place, haven't lost a game in the last 5. Yep. Carrick all of a sudden is making a very, very compelling case to be the permanent manager. But this, it's just on the surface of it, it does feel like a funny one because Man United have done this before where they hire an interim manager. The interim manager, I'm thinking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, does really well. They've also done it where they've hired an interim manager and it's gone really badly. But when they do really well and then give them the full-time job, which they did with Solskjaer, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that happened, suddenly the sort of the fairy dust evaporated and suddenly they just...
But it didn't. The problem is that everybody thinks that Solskjaer was a disaster and he wasn't.
I would say it's a disaster. No, it just started sort of unraveling a little bit and it wasn't... I think he won his first 10 games in a row.
He's the best manager they've had
post-Ferguson, right?
Post-Ferguson. So how can you possibly say that his tenure was problematic?
Yeah. No. I don't think...
The problem was Manchester United's expectations were unrealistic for what Solskjaer was doing. That has nothing to do with his management style or how he managed that.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with Manchester United. No, mind you, this is a pre-Ineos period, right? Mm-hmm. This was pre-Sir Jim's getting his fat fingers involved in like firing the pie ladies. So no, I'd say it's far too soon. Let Carrick cook. Let him do his thing, right? Yeah. And he's got a lot of time and a lot of time also for United to maybe not be so freaking knee jerky and take a minute and think. That's all I can say. Take a minute and breathe.
The way they're sitting. I mean, they if they keep going like this and continue on with the bounce and Carrick does sort of deliver, they could be top 4. They could get Champions League football next season and all of a sudden. And
that would be an overachievement for them.
That would be. And then 100%. The decision is, do you keep Carrick or do you actually go and get someone else? Because part of me thinks like, why break it? If it ain't broken, don't fix it, right?
You just talk about champagne problems. That's their champagne problem.
There we go.
Right?
Finally,
they make Champions League. Ooh, do we keep the guy?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to be suicidal, have sort of decision making, sort of decision suicide there to want to do that. Yeah, you keep him. So we'll get there. The expectation there is Man U should probably grind that out, particularly with that new formation and sort of they've gone back to that traditional 4-4-2.
Yeah, I'd say this is a. I don't say this often about Manchester United and have not said this about them, but I think this should be a win for them.
Yeah, there should be. And then let's touch on Forest Palace. I mean, this is a 6-pointer. This is a 6-pointer.
It's a 6-pointer. It's a classic 6-pointer, right? Palace have been in the dumps. They've been terrible. I mean, they have not been terrible. I
just burnt out.
almost let that slip, but that wouldn't be true. I don't think Palace have been terrible, but they've had terrible results. And sure, could they play better? Absolutely. But this is a team that's been rocked by all kinds of issues with overplay, overexhaustion, so much drama going on off field, players being sold, players rumored to be sold, players, it's like it's distracting for anybody. And for a team that doesn't have a tremendous amount of depth, it's proven to be their undoing in the last 15 games that they've played. But they have to rally to beat Forest, because if they do, they suddenly move into 31 points. And that magic 30 is important, right? So if they get to that, gives them the confidence to finish out the season, stay safe. But if they don't, Forest suddenly becomes level with them. And there's a risk that Spurs can jump them. There's a lot of risk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Go Palace. It's crazy to think that they could slip in. Yeah, they could slip into that relegation territory as well. And look, it looks like Burnley and Wolves are all but down, right? Burnley. I mean,
no. I think they're cooked. Yeah.
They're cooked, but West Ham are fighting for survival. And again, as you say, all of them, Spurs will probably be okay. You'd expect them to be okay. But again, it is concerning that they are quite down there, quite low. Speaking of Spurs, they are hosting Man City. That's that's sort of the other one as well.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it great that you've got four Champions League teams that are playing each other?
Yeah.
This game week, I mean, how exciting is that, right? It's almost like a continuation of Wednesday, which, let's hope that it has similar drama.
Yeah, it's so you've got Man City again. Going forward, don't seem to have any issues. I mean, Haaland's now scoring again, scored his first, again, Haaland was on a drought relatively, first goal in open play in 5 games. Yeah. It looks like they've kind of diversified their goals as well with getting Semenyo as well. Doku looks to be getting back as well.
Semenyo's been scoring. Doku's been feeding goals like crazy. I mean,
Foden's got the World Cup in mind, and his sort of form has picked up a little bit as well. He's looking good.
Yeah, it's I don't see any problems with City at all.
That defense, though, well, the only problem with City is their defense does look a little bit unstable.
Hold on, but Gay's only had 1 game. Give him a break.
I know. Well, prior to Gay, I know that's a big reason why they went and signed him as well. But
absolutely.
It's hopefully they've shored it up. And again, like City's from their perspective, I know we're sort of saying that they're not looking as dominant. I mean, they're in second place and they're only 4 points off the top as well. And there's still plenty of room to go. So they could still very much win this and probably have aspirations as well for Champions League and all those other tournaments that they're in, the FA Cup. So there's a potential treble on there. Not that they will. I don't know. Spurs, I don't have a lot of confidence in Spurs right now. I don't know. Just the players that they have.
That's the thing with Spurs. You're better off rolling a dice and trying to predict what's going to come up than try to predict what Spurs is going to do, because it's like you just roll it, see what happens. Maybe it comes out of 6 and they win. Maybe it comes out of 1 and they lose. You can't, you just don't know with them. They are without a doubt one of the most unpredictable sides in the Premier League right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
And I'm talking about from wide discrepancy of disastrous to amazing. They really go all of it and everything in between. So, yeah.
Indeed. Well, okay, Qooligan. Well, I think that sort of takes us through all of the sort of the key games that we've been sort of covering or we'll be looking at as well. So as always, guys, hooligan-soccer.com is the best place to go and find out about the musings, the ramblings and all that other stuff. Go and check out that article about Salah as well, moving on from Liverpool. That was an interesting one for sure.
And a really good article about Manchester United by our contributor, Dominic Rayner. Great stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Qooligan, as always, thank you very much. We'll be glued in, email newsletter coming out as well. And and then back again next week as well with Carabao Cup semi-finals.
I believe it.
And then when is that Champions League sort of knockout rounds phases as well? That's the other interesting one.
There's a small gap of 1 or 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks of gap, I think. And then,
Wonderful. Qooligan, as always, until next time, thank you.
Peace.